Welcome back to Reflect. My name is Brendan. Donald Trump was asked about January 6th during an interview at the Economics Club of Chicago this morning. And of course, he gave an answer full of lies and deceit.
Maybe I can ask you then about something else. Yeah. Business people here in this room, business people, capital markets, they all like the rule of law. They like certainty. The Chinese, who you mentioned, other dictators.
Right.
They don't like it when things go wrong. They like it when things go wrong in America. If you look at the events of January the 6th, 2021, it showed to many people America's democracy was unruly and violent. Only 3 weeks to go to the election. Will you commit now to respecting and encouraging a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, you had a peaceful transfer of power.
You had a peaceful transfer of power. You had a peaceful... Come on, President Trump. You had a peaceful transfer of power compared with Venezuela, but it was by far the worst transfer of power for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because this is what they like to do. This is what they like to do. It's very interesting.
The question, President Trump, is would you respect the decision?
When I found out about this interview, I did a little check. This is a man that has not been a big Trump fan over the years. So I had a choice. Do I do this interview or not? I'm glad I did it. But do I do this interview or do I disappoint a lot of people? Because I know a lot of people in the audience. But his view is very different than mine. Let me just say.
I'm asking you a question, Professor.
We had a term, peacefully and patriotically. These were people. If you think an election is crooked, and I do, 100%, if you think the day it comes when you can't protest, you take a look at the Democrats, they protested 2016, they're still protesting it. Nobody talks about them. But if we protest, we want to have honest elections. You think the last election was honest?
Do you think it was all the times it went to courts, the courts sided with the other?
No, it didn't go. They went to court, and the courts all said, you don't have standing. Nobody had standing. And it's hard, frankly, after an election for a judge, but they all said you don't. Nobody ever had standing. But the facts, if you take a look, I'd show you hundreds of pages of facts. People were angry. People went there. And I'll tell you what, they never show that. The primary scene in Washington was hundreds of thousands, the largest group of people I've ever spoken before, and I've spoken before. And it was love and peace. And some people went to the Capitol, and a lot of strange things happened there. A lot of strange things with people being waved into the Capitol by police, with people screaming, go in, that never got into trouble. You know, I don't want to mention names, but you know who they are. A lot of strange things happened. But you had a peaceful, very peaceful. I left the morning that I was supposed to leave. I went to Florida, and you had a very peaceful transfer. This was not and I'll tell you what, those people that did go down, which was a tiny fraction of the people that went to Washington. I mean, you're talking about a very, very small, because hundreds of thousands of people, and I don't know what you had, 500, 600, 700 people go down to the Capitol. But those people, not one of those people had a gun. Nobody was killed except for Ashley Babbitt. She was killed. She was killed. She was shot in the head by a policeman what he did was horrible.
President Trump, maybe
so I think we should be allowed to disagree on that. And obviously, you see by the reaction in this room,
let's return to one other big subject that you bring up repeatedly, immigration.
Before we get into my reflection of the video, let's take a quick break to hear from our video's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Aura, an online security company that I am incredibly proud to be partnering with to bring you a better sense of security online. Because recently, hackers may have stolen every American's social security number. These stolen records include a person's full name, their address, their date of birth, their phone number, and members of this hacking group have released all of the information online for free. So if you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, this should be the time to take action, because you've never been more vulnerable than you are right now. But I'm not too worried because I've recently started using Aura. Aura that tracks my public information, including my social security number, across billions of data points online, including the dark web and public court records in case of identity theft. They also provide you a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside a very easy to use app. You can go to aura.com/reflect to get 2 weeks free, which will give Aura plenty of time to see if any of your personal records have been leaked online. Why wait for another national public data breach to secure your online information? So be sure to go now to aura.com/reflect to get your 2 weeks free. So let's get into Donald Trump and his lies about January 6th, because if anything, this proves that this guy is going to do it again. I mean, whether or not he'll have a successful riot at the Capitol, he is without a doubt going to deny that he lost this election. And then he's going to go down to Mar-a-Lago and complain that it was rigged, yada, 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 announce another bid for president of the United States so that he can try to avoid the consequences of his actions. Because remember, in 2020, he took classified documents with him to Mar-a-Lago. The FBI raided his estate down there, and then he ended up trying to hide these documents and was caught red-handed. Now, that's kind of one of the reasons why he's running for president, so that he can try to interfere with those trials and investigations. But let's get to Donald Trump's answer about January 6th at the Economics Club of Chicago. So he says that, well, first off, he just immediately just attacks the moderator, right? Trying to just change the subject and make it a personal thing, which is just a coward and pathetic way to go about doing it. But hey, that's Donald Trump. He also said it was 100% crooked, the 2020 election. Still, years later, after 60 court cases, couldn't prove a thing. He says, that's because, well, they said we didn't have standing. Yeah, Donald, because you didn't have any evidence. And the evidence that you did try to bring to the court were all conspiracy theories, just like what he went into about January 6th. He says some strange things happened at the Capitol. The police were waving the rioters in. Right, Donald. Yeah. Blame the police for your riot's action. The riot who you said was all peace and love, except you told them to fight like hell. Right, Donald. Right, Donald. Just a complete BS artist. Let's see, what else did he talk about here? He's talked about how the Democrats are still protesting in 2016. His election win in 2016, which, if you really want to dig into that, Paul Manafort, his campaign advisor, did some really shady stuff with Russians during that campaign. But, we'll just ignore that for the sake of our democracy. He says that they're still protesting in 2016. So I have every right to protest in 2020. And for the years since that, yeah, Donald, did Democrats attack the Capitol? I can't remember. No. So what are we even talking about here? He says that no one had a gun. No one had a gun at the Capitol, except video evidence proves that people had a gun. Donald Trump even knew that people had guns, but said, hey, we got to take away the metal detectors so that they can come in, because they're not here to hurt me. They're here to hurt everybody else, including his vice president, Mike Pence, who they wanted to hang. That's why I love when, people ask the question, what happened to Mike Pence? Where's he at? Right. And then, of course, he said that it was a peaceful transfer of power. He just went to Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, but he never conceded, right? The only losing presidential candidate to ever not concede. And on top of that, he took classified documents with him about the Russian investigation and about so much more that we don't even know about, and did who knows what with. So Donald Trump is completely desperate to whitewash January 6th because he needs so badly to get into the White House to avoid spending the rest of his life in prison for his actions after he lost the last election. I mean, this guy is he's in such a kind of twisted pretzel here of problems. And so, of course, he's going to lie his buns off. Man, I'm using a lot of like baked goods references here and imagery, but that's why he's lying his buns off. That's why he's going to do it again and look forward to another armed mob at the Capitol. I mean, they'll probably be less safe because, hey, we know the playbook, we know what's coming, but it's definitely coming because that answer just gave the game away. Donald Trump is going to run the same playbook that he did in 2020. He's going to refuse to concede. He's going to try to get people to violently take it back for him because, again, he's facing life in prison, right? So if we thought 2020 was bad, oh, it's gonna be worse. Now we'll see if the government and the powers that be can mitigate that, but look forward to a wild January in 2025. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and so that you get future videos in your inbox. You can also click join if you want to become a member and directly support the channel and get some cool perks with that. Thanks for watching.